Hello, and welcome back to the MySpace podcast. I'm your host, Smiley, and today I will be reviewing the book Fate of the Sun King by Nisha J. Tuli. Hopefully. I don't know why I say hopefully. This is book 3 of the Artefacts of Ouranos series. So, starting this off, most of my notes are in the spoiler section because I just go for it. So much happened that I can't really talk about, so yeah. There's not a lot of character stuff because it's the third book by now. There's not a lot of character changes. So yeah, 1 sec. That's better. Rating. I give this book an 8 out of 10. So it was good and I liked it. But there were times when I was like, what is going on? And also, things would just be randomly brought up and I'm like, why now? It didn't make sense to come up in this time, and then you had to do this before you could do the main thing, and I'm like, it makes sense, but also could we have found a better way to bring this up? But otherwise, honestly, good. POV. So we still get Laura and Nadir's POV, but we also get Gabriel's, and then we also get the POV of some other people that tell the story of something else that is vital to the plot. But also is part of what makes no sense. Okay, it makes some sense. It makes sense, but also doesn't make sense at the same time. Just confused and don't really know what's happening right now. Plot / storyline. So, Lore and the whole group of them are in Aphelion. I think that's how it's spelled and said. They're trying to make a plan to get into the Sun Palace to see the mirror because Lore, needs to talk to the mirror because it told her to come back in the first book when she gets the crown. So now she has to come back, but they only have 2 weeks because that's when the bonding ceremony is going to happen because Alice finally had to set a date. Or I think her name's Aprecia. Something like that. It starts with an A. Until her dad they're both like, when is it gonna be? It's a whole thing that I don't really need to get into. All you know is that she's horrible and everybody hates her. Nadir decides though that Laura needs to work on using her magic, so there are some times when she's practicing using it and she can kind of use it, but she has to force it, so the door is slowly unlocking, but it's not fully unlocked. Then they decide to return to Heart to see if they can figure out who's been telling people that Lore, is alive. This is one of the parts that just kind of randomly came up, and I'm like, this is the most random thing ever. It makes complete sense as to want to know who's selling you out, but when it came up, I was like, what's going on? And there's actually someone in Heart who wants to talk to Lore, so then in that conversation between that person and Lore realizes some things, and that's when some things roll out. Then some things happen. Then they meet somebody else. And things are going good for a bit. Things are okay. They learn some things, but there are vital pieces of information that are missing, but also nobody knows what those vital pieces of information are, so it doesn't really make... You know that there's something missing. There's something else going on. You know. Because of all the little bits and pieces you get, you know there's something else. And, okay, well, somebody has to know. I think that person knows. No, he doesn't. That person doesn't know. Okay. That person could know, but not everything. Yeah. I'll get into it in a spoiler section, don't worry, guys. It's so much happened. And then, of course, the plan to get into the castle to see the mirror doesn't go the way they planned it to go, and it just falls apart. Like, of course. Do they get to the mirror and get what they wanted from it? What the mirror had for lore? I don't know. You have to wait and see in the spoilers section. Just know stuff is going cray-cray. And also a lot of secrets come out in this book. A lot. Which is why everything's in the spoilers section. Another reason why I'm like, it's great. I love the secrets. Everything's just crazy. So, okay, to the characters. Literally not a lot that I can talk about. Lore, she finally lets herself care and love Nadir. Like, she's finally stopped fighting it. She's also like, I just want to be free now. She has some fights with her siblings, but everything's okay in the long run. Nadir, he becomes way more protective of her, but still lets her do whatever she wants. And he's very much like, we're gonna get your powers working and whatnot, and he'll basically do whatever she says. Like, she'll be like, please, and he'll be like, fine. Even though I hate this and think this could really hurt you. Fine, I'll let you do it. Nothing really, like, character-wise, no big changes happened to them with this book. The only really noticeable thing would be with Gabriel and, like, Atlas. But, like, I can't talk about that in this regular section. I have to put those all in the spoiler section because it gives away too much of the book. And I'm not going to give away, I don't want to give away too much of the book. And also, there's just so much. Again, that went on. Just this part is 1 page. All my notes are 5 pages long, and 4.5 pages long. And the 3.5 are the spoilers. Okay. To the spoilers now. Because nothing else to talk about. First off, I'm going to mention this, that Lore and Nadir are mates, and that conversation that she was having with that person, who was actually, that person, her name was like Rihanna or something, and she was best friends, and she was a cousin of Cersei, Lore's grandmother. And she was telling Lore all these stories about Cersei, and how she was mates with Wolf, and what it kind of feels like being mates. And then Lore figures out, she's like, oh my gosh, I'm mates with Nadir. Nadir already suspected this and kind of knew, but he wasn't gonna force it on her. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Other than that. Oh, and then also during this, after she realizes that, she goes outside, gets lured in by a child, gets kidnapped by some of Rion, that is the Aurora King, by some of his men. She gets captured. Nadir goes to find her and get her. They end up going to the woodlands. That's where he would be like an uncle in a sense. The king is her grandfather's brother. So they go to the woodlands. She gets healed because she was hurt and drugged. And then the woodland king, I forgot his name, he comes and he's all like, I know when you enter because you have woodland blood, and I feel when people with woodland blood enter or exit. He takes them back to their, like, fort, which is a huge tree house. And then that is where Lore and Nadir finally admit that they like each other, or like are in love with each other, and finally do it. And then after that, of course, they have to do it all the time. One reason why I don't like it, I'm like, do it once, do it twice, that's it. Uh, okay, so then, and then she, and there's also a whole jealousy aspect going on. It was great. I love those scenes where she's trying to make him jealous because she thinks that he's flirting with other girls, but he's not, and he's all like, and then he realizes it after she tells him that, and he's all like, I wasn't flirting with her. And he's like, oh wait, you may have thought I was. And then she's given permission to talk to the woodland staff, which is the woodland's artifact, and it tells her some things. I don't really remember what it tells her, but one big thing that it does tell her is that Tristan, her older brother, is the woodland primary, which honestly I kind of figured out because he had super strong woodland magic, and the woodlands didn't have a primary. And I was like, it's Tristan. And then when the staff was given those hints that it was Tristan, yeah. Also, Tristan and Nadir do not get along. Nadir's trying. Tristan, not so much. Okay. Now to the other side of stuff. Because I don't think there's really any more that I need to talk about. Because everything else will come up in my notes because I didn't write those down. So, it turns out that Tyr, I don't know how to say his name. It's only 3 letters, and it's Tyr, he is Atlas's older brother and is actually the true king of Aphelion, the Sun Kingdom, he's the true Sun King. He's still alive. Everyone thought he was dead and died of a sickness. He didn't. Atlas had put magic suppressing cuffs on him and locked him away in a tower, and those cuffs also basically make you lose your mind slowly. And Atlas also forced Tyr, whatever his name is. I'm gonna call him Tyr now. Atlas forced him to order the warders to listen to his command, Atlas's command, to listen to Atlas's command. So none of the warders can basically save him from the tower in these cuffs because they have to listen to what Atlas says. That part comes up later. I'll have a whole section on that. Another thing is that Gabriel was and still is in love with Tyr. I hate pronouncing names. They were in love, basically, and then everything happened. And also, it wouldn't have worked out anyways, really. They may have still been able to be together, but they wouldn't have been able to actually be together. Atlas is also not the primary of Aphelion. Someone else is. We do not know who that person is, though. It would be fun if it was, just somebody random. It could be somebody else. I feel like I talked about this somewhere in here. It could be somebody else. I think his name is like Evan or something. It'll come up later. His name. But it may be him because he's the cousin of Atlas and Tyr. But it may also... it could just be somebody random. I think it would be really fun if it was somebody random, though. So, Atlas may not be the primary of the kingdom, but he has a plan to get that power, and that is to bow to Lore, who is the Heart Queen and the primary of Heart. And how does he know that? Well, it turns out that the priestess who was supposed to be helping Cersei, Lore's grandmother, well, the priestess didn't trust Cersei, so she double-crossed her and stayed alive because of their goddess Zara's protection. So, that when that whole big blast happened, that's what the woodland staff showed Lore. That whole scene. So basically, when the whole blast happened, she stayed alive. I think her name's Chloris. She stayed alive because of Zara's protection. Now, she hates Cersei because of what Cersei did to her, locked her up, put those magic suppressing cuffs on her, and then basically almost blew her up. And also was going to double cross her and not give her the arc, which she promised. Those come up later. So, she hates Cersei. And also, she only wanted Cersei, or was pretending to help her, because she wanted the Arc of Heart. It's a whole thing I don't understand that I'll talk about later. Still don't understand it, though. But, because Cersei is now dead, she needed the primary of heart, and because she was there that fateful night, she knew, well, that the primary was still alive. She tried to grab Lore when she was young, but that didn't work, and Lore killed her. But again, Zara saved her. And now this priestess, Chloris, also hates Lore, but still needs her for her ability to find the Ark. Because her understanding is that the Arks allow you to bend the will of the artifacts. So basically she thinks she can use their power or something like that. I don't know what she wants to find it because Zara wanted her to find the Ark originally, and now she's kind of cut off from Zara because like Zara's angry at her or whatnot. Now she wants to be back on her good graces. So now she's trying to get the Ark and bring it to her so she can be a priestess again. Thus, because now that she hates Lore, she goes to Rion, the Aurora King, and that's why he goes after Lore. And then when Lore locks away her magic, he believes that Lore actually isn't the Heart Primary, but Chloris did let something slip about the arcs, about like what they can do. And that comes up later. That's a reason for something that happens later. Now, because Rion stopped believing that Lore was the heart and stopped trying to like get her magic to open up, she had to go to Atlas, who she knew would crave power. She knew craved power and would want to bond to Lore when he realized that she's a primary. And of course, she was manipulating Atlas, so that's the whole thing. She basically said that he could use Stark to change the mirror's decision after it rejected her. That comes up actually after the mirror rejects her. Chloris is literally just manipulating everybody now. So now Atlas is all like, I need Lore, and is going crazy trying to find her because he wants a primary's power because he's not the primary of his own kingdom, and he's been lying to everybody. Lore and Nadir actually talk to Chloris about stuff. So she tells them a little stuff. That's also just a crazy scene because she's just trying to get the Ark. That's all she wants. Now, to the warders and Gabriel. They are bound to do whatever the True King tells them to do, and because Tyr told them to obey and protect Atlas, they have to do whatever Atlas says. Atlas tells Gabriel to find Lore and bring her to him. He does end up figuring out where she is, but he plays it off as her finding him, so he can, there's a gray area. And so he can lie to Atlas a bit. So Gabriel is protecting Lore and disobeys Atlas, and that hurts him, because he's not supposed to do it. And then Atlas figures out that Gabriel has been lying to him and demands that Tyr tell Gabriel to tell him, Atlas, where Lore is and to bring her to him. And to do this, he threatens Gabriel's life. But when they go to find Lore, she isn't at the house. Nobody is, because they moved because Nadir was, being careful. And then this is when Gabriel finally breaks and is all like, I'm gonna bring Atlas down. Then he goes to Erevan. That's what his name is. So remember, he's Atlas's cousin. And that is where Gabriel finds Nadir and Lore, who are asking Erevan to make a distraction at the ceremony thing the day before the bonding, where they where Atlas and whatever her name is, I think it's Aprecia, meet all the citizens and, well, not all the citizens, the higher ups. And Gabriel's all like, I'll give you a distraction, just be there and get ready to go through the gates. And that distraction turns out to be revealing that Tyr is still alive and that Alice has been lying to them all. Then Gabriel begs Tyr to release them from obeying Atlas, and after a whole lot of begging, and like, I'm gonna die anyways, so do it now, or I'm dead either way, really. And he does. And then Gabriel goes after Atlas. He maybe kills him. This part, we don't really finish this part. Or he captures Atlas. I'm not really sure. And they put him in the dungeon. But what he does do that we did get was that he full beat the crap out of Atlas. We're getting closer, guys. So Nadir and Lore use this distraction to get to the mirror. The mirror gives Lore the Arc of Heart. It was hiding it for her. And the Arc finally unleashes her powers completely. And it goes a little crazy. And she lets go of the Arc. And guess who's there to ruin the day? Rion, the Aurora King. Because, like, of course, we did know that he'd be there too. But and then it kind of felt like they forgot that he'd be there. Nadir and Lore escape, but Lore left the Arc and Crown there in the throne room, but then they do end up getting caught by Rion. Because he uses this type of magic that I don't understand, but it also has to do with the Arcs, I believe. Which I get to in a second. So, now they're both captured. Lore wakes up in the Evanescence, which is basically where the rulers go after they step down. Because there can't be two primaries, or some, I don't really know. Lore is brought there by the Imperium, which are the gods of, like, the whole world, and everything else in that universe. They want to talk to her. They tell her basically everything. How the world was slowly starting to be overcome by magic, so they need to turn the humans into Imperial Fae and give them magic. Not all the humans, though, because they're still humans. They also needed somebody to stay behind to watch over Ouranos, their world. Herrick, who was the king of the Aurora, stepped up, but they didn't want him because his heart was dark and he was greedy for power. This didn't make him happy. And they instead decided to choose Zara, who was not a good queen, but because what she had done is that she basically decided to turn her back on her people when the whole heat wave came, and help herself in her own needs, and by own needs. But they felt that she wanted to change, so they got Zara to step up. And now Herrick is angry at the Imperium and at Zara, and he wants more. And before he was taken to meet with the Imperium, he had seen magic within a stone in the mountains where his mines were. And when he was brought back down, he realized what the stones could do. And basically, he could push his power through it, and by doing that, he essentially started to slowly kill Zara. And, well, he realized that he needed more stones, so he made the arcs, which he had turned into coffins made to contain the effigy of Zara's form, and he gave them to each of the rulers, saying that it would help them control their powers, which were kind of going crazy. However, by doing that, it was slowly killing Zara, who never actually changed and basically just threw parties that involved a whole lot of sex. So she didn't change in any which way. There's also another reason why Herrick wants to destroy her. That's the reason right there. Then he made a whole castle out of that stone. Then he ended up falling into his whole twistiness because of this, and rules over domain as the caretaker of souls. He's known as the Lord of the Underworld. And then the last thing is that the Imperium tells Lore that they want her to take Zara's place, eventually. Then Lore wakes up back in the custody of Rion, who is transporting her back to the Aurora, most likely. She has those magic blocking cuffs on, but she's still able to use her magic. And then she either knocks everybody out or, like, kills them. That part's weird. But then she realized she also hurt Nadir. He's kind of still alive, but not really at the same time. She drags him out of the dome she created, kind of burning his legs. This whole part's confusing, so I'm like, I don't know what magic's going on here. And then she does try to save him with her magic, because she has, like, two sides of the same coin. She has destructive and healing magic, but it doesn't work. And he dies. Like, what? Excuse me? He can't be dead. Like, that, we can't have that. Fantasy books aren't supposed to do that to me. They're not supposed to kill off the guy. They're not. He's not supposed to die. Right? So yeah, that's the end. See how much happened? It was a lot that I really needed to talk about. It made me feel better. Yeah, that is it. I'm going off to read the next and last book, final book in the series. Don't know what the name is. So anyways, thank you for watching and listening, and have a good rest of your day, night, week, month, year, life. Thank you, and goodbye.